but it doesn't make sense to you because when you start thinking about, man, I got less people to work with. There's less people on my team.
Right.
Why is this happening? We got so much work. Why is this happening? Right.
I want to go. Yeah. I want to go to big tech to make money, and maybe. But I think people don't realize that if you go startup, your salary may not be as high, but there's a great opportunity for you to get equity in that company, and then if they blow up,
right,
you're getting paid.
Right.
So that. What up, Tech fam? It's JohnnieTech. I'm here with my guy,
WillDoesTech. What's going on, world? How you doing?
And this is JustMyTechCents, where we talk tech, finance, and a little bit of lifestyle. Yeah,
yes, sir.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
So what we getting into today?
And so today's topic, I kind of want to discuss something that I think a lot of people, they probably thought about before, but maybe haven't dove into it.
Yeah. So
you're in your tech career, early, late. Do you go startup or do you go corporate?
Okay. So we talking startup versus big tech.
Right.
Little tech versus big tech.
I would even say large. Yeah, I would say that, but also even other larger corporations in general.
Okay. Well, I mean, you wanted to talk about it, so what do you want to start out?
So basically, my mindset is like, okay, what are the pros and cons of each? Like, so if I'm just graduating college, or if I'm deep into my career, but let's just say you're a newcomer in tech.
Yeah.
You know, most people are like, oh, I haven't heard of this company before. They're skeptical about it. They're like, oh, why would I want to work for a small company? Or everyone's shooting for like, I want to work at Google. I want to work for Microsoft.
That's the dream, right?
Right.
Working like, for these FANG companies.
Right.
So, is it Mang now?
Yeah, something
whatever,
like that.
Yeah, whatever the term is.
And they're all like, oh, I want to work at these large companies, and they kind of like overlooking some other places or not even thinking about it. So I think sometimes startups, people kind of skip over them or they don't think about them as much.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of benefit to working at startups that people don't realize, even if you're a newcomer or if you're, deep into the field. So, yeah.
And I think it's easier, at the end of the day, I mean, because this is the dream, right? This is the pinnacle. When you're talking about Microsoft, you're talking about Facebook or Meta, you talk about, all these other, social media platforms that, people just dream about going to. You're going to compete against everybody, right? Just talented people from all walks of life. So that's one of the things you have to consider, especially in, today's day and age where it's becoming harder and harder to get a job.
Right.
You're competing with a lot of people that are really good, that also want the same job as you, because again, they also want to reach that pinnacle. So I think going to little tech as, a startup, something that is less well known, will probably get you further. And there are so many things that, as you venture into going into tech and going into these companies, these startups, that, you get to exercise. There are different muscles you get to exercise as far as hands-on and experiences that you get to have versus, being in big tech and you're segmented because it's just, this monster of a company. Right.
And like you said, you're not going to get your hands on a lot of things and that's the thing. And that's why it all depends on what career you want, what type of career you want to have. If you want to go somewhere where you're just going to go in there, you're going to punch the clock. And this is at a lower level in a sense. Like when I say lower level, I mean early career in a sense, right? So especially when you're early career, you're not going to go into your Microsoft, Google, and those places. They're not going to hand you the keys and say, go to work. They're going to say, hey, you do these two things, maybe just one, right? And they're like, you just do that. But if that's where you want your trajectory to go, then that's what you're going to be stuck doing, right? You're going to just be doing those few little things, and it's going to be on your own time. You're going to have to be studying and doing different things to catapult your career. So I was like, if you go startup, you're going to have an opportunity to wear different hats. Right. You're going to have an opportunity for your voice to be heard. You're going to be in meetings where you might be with some stakeholders and your opinion is going to matter a lot more, right? So I was like, if that's what you're into, you want to get opportunity to learn different skills, have opportunity to get some leadership skills as well, see how organization actually works, right? Because like you can work for big tech and you can be extremely technical, but you may never even see like, oh man, why are they making these type of decisions? Like we know that this we need to put this security procedure in place, but they're not doing it. They're not listening to me. Yeah. At a startup, you might see those reasons and either have more input or understand why they're running it that way. So I think like as a early career, I think it's great to work for a startup. Yeah,
and I mean, so from an experience standpoint, I agree. I mean, there's pros and cons to both, and I think even from a resume standpoint, when you actually work at BigTech, right, that goes a longer way as far as your resume, because if you can say you worked for, Meta or, Microsoft or one of these platforms, right, then the next company that's hiring probably feels like you have the chops to make it wherever it is that they're hiring for, because you made it at at Meta, right? So from a career standpoint, you're always shooting for that. At the same time, when it comes to experience, you may not, as Johnny said, you may not get the same experiences because, again, you are pigeonholed into doing what it is that they say you have to do, and you haven't been able to peek behind the curtain, right? Because now you have bigger stakeholders, and some of the decisions that they may be making don't make sense to you. It makes sense to the business standpoint. It makes sense to the shareholders, but it doesn't make sense to you, because when you start thinking about, man, I got less people to work with. There's less people on my team.
Right.
Why is this happening? We got so much work. Why is this happening? Right. But to your stakeholders, your shareholders, they're saying, oh, there's more profit, right? Because now we've reduced the workforce. We're still getting the same amount of work done, right? And maybe you're not. Maybe you are. Maybe you're not. But still, from a when you're looking at it from a broader viewpoint, from the company's standpoint, they're saying, hey, if we are making more profit, this makes us look better to our shareholders. And you don't typically see that or get to see that at a small startup, because they don't have those issues to worry about, at least in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. You said something that's important. I think the people are saying, like, well, you mentioned profit. You talk about the company's profit, but a lot of people, they make their decision like, what's my profit? Like, I want to go to BigTech to make money, and maybe. But I think people don't realize that if you go startup, your salary may not be as high, but there's a great opportunity for you to get equity in that company. And then if they blow up, you're getting paid. Right. So that's a good, it's not 100%. You might go there and they be like, oh, we actually got to fire.
They flop. They got to close down. Right.
Yeah, we're done.
Because most businesses don't make it.
Right.
That's the truth.
But it's almost like if they do take off, it's like you might hit that lottery ticket and say, oh, and I got all this equity in this company. I'll help build, right? Like, it's like, so, and you can kind of make a name for yourself too, in that if the company grows. So the startups are going to be looking for the best talent in general. Right. And you're going to have opportunity to grow. They're going to probably provide you with the training that you need. It depends on how strapped the company is for money, but they want you to do well. And because they probably are bringing you in at a lower salary. It's like, hey, they're putting a lot into you and hoping to get a lot out of you as well. So then hopefully you can grow and, go that direction. Right. But it's not always, but it's like if it does hit, you're going to be good.
Yeah, you're going to be. And again, like I said, from the experience standpoint, you may not be, quote unquote, the most talented, because let's say at face value, you're not working at, one of these big companies. At the same time, as you said, you get those experiences and these smaller companies are pouring into you. And then when you leave there and you're having these interviews, and these the hiring boards are saying, have you ever experienced this? Have you ever experienced that? Right. From the small tech standpoint, you probably have, right? Because you're seeing a range of things. Versus from a big tech, it's like, nah, that was a different department. We didn't do that, right? We didn't have permissions to do that.
Exactly.
So from that standpoint, working at a smaller tech company makes you, as far as knowledge, more rich than working at a big tech. At the same time, working at a big tech, when you start looking at politics and you start looking at all these other things that you have to kind of balance at a bigger firm, a bigger company, you get experience there as well. So there's something to be counted for in that too.
Right. So like we kind of been speaking on the early career of it, but I know there's different aspects. Like right now in your career, do you feel like you would want to work for a startup, or would you decide I want to go?
There's a time and a place. There is a time and a place, because when you're at a small company, as you said, there's more influence, but there's typically less processes. It's not as it's more fast paced. And you're doing, as you said, you're wearing multiple hats. Right. And at this point in my career, I don't feel like I want to wear multiple hats. Right. Not saying that I can't, because if I need to, then I will
get the job done. Right.
Yeah. At the same time, with the amount of time that I put in, do I feel that at my nice young age that I want to that I want to be Yeah. Again, do I have the ability to do well at a startup? 100%. I don't necessarily believe in ageism. At the same time, there's a lot of things that you encounter at a smaller firm, smaller company that I don't really want to have to concern myself with.
It also sounds like you're talking a little bit too, like not to bring the age or anything of that into it, but it's like structure and stability.
Yeah.
So when you've made it so far into your career,
stability.
Exactly, you're like, okay, do I really want to be in a place that can be considered volatile in the sense of like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. I've done this much with my career, and in the type of market that we're in. The market that we're in it's tough to get a job right now in tech in general. So it's like, do I want to go somewhere where yes, the upside could be great if things go well. I can have a lot of input with what's going on, but at the same time, it's like if I go to BigTech, yeah, they're having layoffs and things like that as well. But it's like if I'm doing what I need to do, most likely
you still might get laid off.
Yeah, you can. So that is a good point. So I mean, tech industry is just volatile in general.
Trash, like we said before.
Yeah. As you saying, my mind is like, hold on, man. That same thing can happen.
It's not as stable as it used to be, right? So actually, at the smaller tech, I mean, it might be more stable. Again, you're not just a number. Mm-hmm. At the same time, they don't have the funds to pay you what maybe you feel like you're deserving of, just based on your experience and all that other stuff.
Man, you got my brain thinking of how it actually works, because I mean, you're gonna even see the point where big tech is coming to take over all those small tech startup companies in general. They're saying, okay, well, we see what you're doing. Let us purchase what you're like. So for the company, that's great for them. They're going to acquire you or whatever. But at the same time, the employees may not go. Yeah. So, and I've seen them do that, like taking over a lot of work. I mean, even like managed service companies, like they're like, okay, well, smaller third parties used to do that. Now, like, oh, well, AT&T provide the same thing, or whatever. So,
right. Whether it's based on like their idea, or whether or not it's just based on competition. Right. Eating your competition. So. Yeah, it's just one of those things that if I were starting at the beginning, right, and I was just, graduating college or high school or, whatever it was, I would start looking at smaller companies. Mm-hmm. That said, I would also look at companies that aren't necessarily just tech focused, right? Your Home Depots, your Lowe's, your Walmarts, your Starbucks. I mean, they all companies have IT departments, so looking at those as well, because again they need your services, and if you're good at what you do, right, there's still going to be competition, but it's going to be less competition, right? And then later on in life, again, Amazon, from what I hear, I've never worked at Amazon, but I've heard that they're also fast moving as well, and they burn a lot of people out. Allegedly, right? Just based on what I've heard on the internet.
I've heard some of the same things, so I was like, okay,
but I've heard good things about Microsoft as far as like work-life balance and those kind of things. But at the same time, you still don't know what you're right
until you get in that position, because everyone is different anyway. So it's like someone may get in a position they're high speed, like they may like that environment, or they may not. So the information you get from them is going to be on their preference. So you still never really know. But, it's kind of just a thing to think about. Okay, as you're moving through your career, like I think it's something that people, I felt like people they kind of overlook startups or even sometimes smaller companies, and they don't realize the benefit that you can get from it, because they're all like, even me, I'm like, okay, it's time for me to go big tech or whatever. I want to make more money. I want to get involved. You think that they're doing the latest, technology and things like that, but when you get in there, you're not ever touching it. Same thing with the military, in the sense, government. Yeah. You're thinking like, okay, I know their hands are in everything. I'm going to have an opportunity to look at some of that. And they're like, nah, you going to do this over here. And that's it.
Well, what's the most important thing that you can have on your resume at this point?
The most important thing that you can have on your resume?
He was going to say experience. So experience is the most important thing that you can have on your resume right now, because without experience, you're not being looked at, right?
I was going to say certs. No, I was just messing with you.
So I knew you were going to give me the wrong answer, so I had to say it for you. But again, if you can get into a smaller company and claim experience, right? Because these companies are asking for 3 to 5 years of experience for entry level, right? And that doesn't start until you start getting experience. So again, go where there is the path of least resistance, and sometimes that is at a smaller company. Maybe the networking opportunities aren't there as much as in, a bigger company, which is also something that takes you very far. But you can get the networking experience from going to networking events, conventions, and things like that. So you don't necessarily have to get that, from the job. And then just being good at what you do and just being able to talk about it when you go to these conventions, saying, hey, here's what I bring to the table. And again, you can, enter into a different space or a different, whether it's big tech, little tech, just based on your experience.
100%. Definitely agree with that,
Okay.
But that's just something you guys to think about out there, something to chew on and see like, okay, have I been looking at every avenue of what I want to get into? But I think we should just go ahead and, something for you guys to think about.
Yeah. So y'all, hey, just remember to subscribe. If you like what we're talking about, subscribe. What are the other things you need to do?
Like, comment, subscribe.
Like the video.
Right. All that good stuff. Follow us on IG. I'm at Johnnie_Tech on IG.
And I'm at JustMyTechCents, spelled JustMyTechCents, as it is on the wall up there.
There it is, man. And make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe.
You said that already.
Hey, man, I'm trying to, you got to say it 3 times. I ain't going to go there.
All right, we're trying to get better. So this is JustMyTechCents. We will talk to y'all later.
Out.